Welcome to the English Homemaker podcast, a podcast where we discuss all things home, a realistic but fresh view of homemaking from the suburbs of the south of England. I'm your host, Alissa Evelyn. Welcome to episode 28 of the English Homemaker. Hello, everybody. How are you? It is so good to be back in your ears, in your bedroom, in your kitchen, in your car, wherever I am talking to you right now. I'm so happy to be back. I am going to do podcasts where I can manage probably slightly shorter than before, maybe different formats. I have heaps and heaps of titles and ideas of things I want to talk about and share with you. And like I said, I'm hoping they're going to be slightly shorter, less waffly, probably still as serious and deep and important, but also hopefully light and fun. And today I want to talk about joy. Joy, fun, happiness, joy. The ways that we cultivate it, the ways we are finding it, making it, creating it, seeking it, and how I feel about joy in my home as a homemaker. So, shall we break down the dictionary definition of the word joy? Now, I found this really, really interesting because as a noun, it can mean great happiness or pleasure, but that joy can also be a thing that causes happiness. So, my children are the joy of my life. That person was a joy to work with. But also that joy can be a verb from to rejoice, which I'd never really put those two and two together. And when I think of to rejoice, I think of church. I think there's a lot of rejoicing in a church, but also I think of birthdays, I think of weddings, I think of bigger sort of celebrations where there is just a huge, very active joy. And I love that visual. So before we talk about how we can create joy, experience joy, find joy, seek joy, I want to talk about what might block joy, because that's equally as important and probably a really good starting place. And I have personally found that once I sorted out these couple of things, actually not sorted, it's not a past tense. This is an active work in progress, I think, for most humans, and specific humans, it's a constant reevaluation like me. Very often in my life and very often in the winter, I can get stuck into really negative thought spirals. I can get really stuck in a victim mindset, and I have to acknowledge it and retrain my brain and sort out the environment around me so that I can move forwards. Now, I think especially in England, I feel like there's a trend towards moaning and negativity, especially in the mummy space, the homemaker space. There's a trend towards loneliness. There's just it's just very cool to be busy and overwhelmed and stressed. And I think that can be a huge weight and a huge blocker in the way for most people to experience joy. So I don't want to dwell on that for too long, but just maybe check yourself. Are you stuck in a funky mindset that you need to shift? And the second thing is clutter. Clutter can super stop us from experiencing joy. If we have just become a manager of all the stuff in our house, that can be such a downer. I have definitely personally experienced that. I've then also experienced how wonderful and joyful it is when I declutter and simplify processes and places in my home. And again, I don't want to dwell on that too much, but if you are feeling really down, a fantastic way of experiencing a wonderful permanent shift in joy is to get rid of stuff that is quote unquote no longer serving you and make the space that you live in work much better for you. Stop holding on to ideas of the past, ideals that you were holding that may not work for the future, and just live where you are right now and enjoy it. So, you know me, I'm going to give you a few quotes that I love that are about joy. I wrote a couple down that I think are a slightly off-piece, not the ones that you would normally hear. There's a Substack by Gabrielle Feather post that she wrote called 100 Things to Do Now You Are Collapse Aware. And number 99 on her list of 100 things was make space for joy. It is not trivial. It sustains us. And I loved that. Joy is not trivial. It's something really, really important. It is something so valuable. And I think we just sort of gloss over it like, oh yeah, we'll have a little giggle tomorrow. Today is very serious and we must get on with it and we must progress and we must do X, Y, and Z so we become a better human being, and we must progress at work and we must make our children smarter and bigger and stronger. And I think it's so easy to focus on those things and think that joy is just this little thing that's like, it's a nice thing to have. We'll be joyful on someone's birthday. And actually, no. I think there's a lovely quote by E.E.Cummings that is, the most wasted of all days is one without laughter. And so I think I always have that in the back of my head as well. Like, we should be laughing every single day. And if we can belly laugh, like properly laugh every single day, then so much the better. I think at this time in the world, in 2026, there is so much that could weigh us down. There's so many things that we're supposed to be and do and know. And one of those things, I think, is just the state of the planet, the state of climate, the state of people, of wars. And I was going through Alissa Rathje's The Journal of Small Work. She has been on the podcast before. It was such a lovely conversation. I was going through her essay, Having Awoken. I was listening to it and then I read it as well on her Substack. And it was just so beautifully written, as with all her things, and just really hopeful. And I just wanted to read a little bit of that. She wrote, "Perhaps if we do this differently, premised on what is life affirming, embracing of unknowable diversity and capacity for healing, if we dwell in wonder and possibility, as yet we have hardly tried, if we recognize that between plunder and deprivation there are other stories of collaboration and abundance and regeneration, we may have faith in ourselves to live in a way that heals, that becomes whole, that makes more life." Now, I know that's more about hope than it is about joy, but to me, I think those two things are inextricably linked. I don't think you can have true joy without true hope. And I found that particular paragraph really, really wonderful. For me, so much of living and creating joy is about creating and building and finding this world I want to live in. And I look around me and I struggle sometimes to see that. And it was really refreshing to read someone else's words that said that it was possible. It can exist. There is a way of this world being something very positive and life-affirming if that's what we choose to see, which I guess goes back to my first very important point of it really being about the mindset that you're in. So one of the wonderful things that we're doing in our household at the minute to create joy is to watch Friends episodes. I've just gone from like really important, like create the world you want to live in, and now I'm talking about watching Friends, but belly laughing is so important to our health and our happiness, and it brings me so much joy. My husband's never watched all of Friends. He's watched the very occasional episodes, so it is so much joy for me to watch him experience it really for the first time, and to watch old episodes I haven't seen for such a long time, watch them back again and just experience some of the old jokes. Loads of people have asked me if the jokes are still relevant today, and we've only watched the first series, but I can say for sure the first series is full of lots of like word jokes and physical comedy that is, I think, still really relevant. So I don't know how it will progress, but we'll sort of like reach that when we get to it. And we also love watching Michael McIntyre's Big Show. That's a wonderful kind of family appropriate-ish show. And it always makes us absolutely laugh. We're in pieces on the sofa. Love Michael McIntyre. If you've never watched his sketch, which is called Silent Letter Day, I think, then you should watch that. All of us, from my youngest, well, not the baby, from my 6-year-old all the way to the almost 40-year-old in the house, we just all crack up. We love Silent Letter Day. It's such a good sketch. The next thing we've sort of decided as a family is that we're going to take more trips to explore our local kind of expanded local area. We've stuck last year because of the baby really, really close to home. And this year we're just going to expand our horizons a little bit and explore England a little bit more. So we've booked our first adventure, and I'm going to try and record it on video for my YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed over there, go and subscribe. That would be really, really fun to share some more videos with you over there. We're going to Somerset, where my grandparents live, and my grandfather's not been very well, so it'd be really nice to go and hang out with them for a very short period of time and sort of also explore the local area. I say see them for a very short period of time because they are very elderly and he has been poorly, so I don't want to be a burden, so we'll probably just take them some biscuits, maybe a lunch, and pop by very briefly so we're not too much, because a family of 5 that are as loud as mine can be a little bit overwhelming when you're a bit older. So we did start last weekend. We went to an RSPB kind of nature reserve. We saw some really, really beautiful murmurations. We also saw Canada geese, apparently, according to one of the ornithologists, Birdie, what do they call them? Twitches, I think. There was an Egyptian goose, which has like really cool eyes. Although at the time, in all honesty, I could not remember how to work binoculars, which we had been given by the people at the entrance to this reserve so that we could see, and I just completely forgot how to use them until the very end. And Pete, my husband, he was like, you remember you're supposed to twizzle this thing to make it focus? And I was like, oh yeah, it's just that long since I used binoculars and mum brain. So anyway, it was still spectacular. I could still see so much, and the kids absolutely loved it. It's a very like relaxing and peaceful thing to do. There weren't loads of people there. But yeah, it was just such a nice thing to do. And then we were also right next to the water. So we got to go and explore the beach, do a bit of beach combing. There were so many shells. I've never seen that many shells in my life. And I love picking up shells and just finding really unique ones. And the kids love doing that too and find it really sort of almost like a meditation. And there were some lovely beach huts, and it was such a beautiful, beautiful day. So I've captured that on video, and I'm going to try and put that together into a little video for YouTube. I have not edited in such a long time, so we will see how that works out. The list of places that I want to explore is humongous, and I think where we're based in England makes it quite easy to explore much of the south. I've got like a Google Maps list with all the different places I want to go, like really specific coffee shops, bakeries, bookshops, architecture, art, gorgeous, stunning scenery and viewpoints. And I've just had it all saved, and I'm so excited to visit and show the kids and explore and just be outside. Which brings me to my next point, which is to slow it down and get outside. If you are struggling to experience joy, it might be that you're just trapped within the 4 walls of your home, and you just need to get outside and experience some wonder and magic in the world outside. There is so much to witness outside, from just the little bulbs poking through the ground to the beautiful moon that happened about a week ago, I think, to just, I don't know, the blue of the sky, the shape of the clouds. The sunsets have been stunning. All the different colours we've seen on the way home from school have just been incredible in the sky. One of the apps I love the most on my phone is called Skyview Light. And if you basically sort of point it at the sky, it will show you what is in the sky at that moment. So if you can see a big bright star, but you don't know what it is, you point it at the star and it will show you, tell you, and give you information about what it is. So the other night, we had a really beautiful, clear night. Me and my daughter, we stepped outside, looked at the gorgeous moon, and then we were trying to work out what different stars were. I saw Orion's belt, and I was able to show her what that was and hold the phone up at the sky, and it showed the sort of picture of Orion in the sky. And then we saw a big bright Jupiter that was really, really stunning. And it's just a nice way to learn a bit more about the sky and stars, and the fact that we're this tiny little insignificant part of this bigger system. There is something to be said for getting sunlight on your skin, fresh air in your lungs, and feeling the stillness of big giant trees around you in a forest, or feeling that beautiful air by the sea. those things, whilst they again might sound really trivial, I think they're so much more important than we could possibly find in science to explain. Now, even if all you can manage is to stick your head out a window and breathe in some fresh air, or literally put a chair on the front porch like an old Greek man and sit there and just watch people pass by, whatever you need to do to just be outside instead of inside. And another thing that you can do that I always love to do is like a Swedish cleanse of the house, like open all of the windows and let the air through. I even did this when I lived in a city where maybe the air wasn't super duper clean, but there's something about getting the air through the house that just makes everything feel fresh again and possible and lovely. I think it is especially easy as homemakers to spend almost all of the time inside. I know I have found that I have to really push myself to go outside and I have to put other things to the side because it's so easy to just fill your time with cleaning and preparing food and laundry, dishes, like organising, decluttering. I could just spend all of my time inside. I genuinely could. It's more cozy in here and there are so many things to get done. So it requires intention to actually go outside every single day. And sometimes I have to kind of trick myself, give myself kind of jobs outside of the house. They're a little bit of a walk away to do. So I actually make sure I'm moving my body outside every single day. Two of the ways that I actually practically do this are by just picking a shop that's a little bit further away than my closest shop and walk to pick up like milk halfway through the week. And then sometimes I pick a postbox that's a couple of postboxes along to walk to post a birthday card. And that way I'm just getting in more time outside, but I'm still getting my jobs done. The people I know that do spend a lot of time exercising outdoors are generally the calmest, happiest people that I know. Another thing I absolutely love to do, and you know this if you've listened to any of the episodes of the podcast, is really leaning into the seasons, into its celebrations, into the changes of the seasons. And I just love it. I adore it. I love seeing the first frosts, the first summer storm. I love celebrating weird and wonderful things like Candlemas in February and Lammas in August. And I love Christmas and Easter and Midsummer, and we've really made a point to share these with the children so that we can see the arc of the year and really celebrate every single turn and change. And I'm really looking forward this year to really spending more time outside at the weekends exploring with the kids, because I think we'll see that in even greater detail, and it's just going to be so much fun to witness it. If you feel like this is something you want to do but you don't know where to start, you're not particularly brilliant at it, I really recommend a book called All Year Round, A Calendar of Celebrations, which is written by 3 people, Druitt, Christine, Fynes-Clinton and Marije Rowling. And it's just an amazing book full of ideas for how to celebrate all the different festivals throughout the year. It's fantastic, especially if you've got kids. There's loads of craft ideas and it's just wonderful, gorgeous book. The last thing that brings me so much joy that I want to mention is spending time with people that I love and who I know love me in return for who I am. And I think there's something so important about having a beautiful, reciprocal relationship with people, whether that's friends or family or both. And I just think there's something so special and wonderful about those relationships where it's give and it's take, and it's resting and not having to pretend to be someone that you're not, being okay if you mess up in a conversation, you say something slightly, not politically correct or a bit weird, but they understand you and they get it. Those relationships are so easy and joyful and wonderful and precious. And they should be fostered and cared for and looked after, and definitely scheduled in your diary. Lately, we've actually done a really good job of having people round and doing that, building friendships and really working on enjoying time with other people. So we had some friends and their boy round to stay overnight, and everyone had a glass of wine, and the kids went to bed on actually on time. And it was just really nice. We didn't stay up late. We just kind of had a little chat and fell asleep on the sofa and had a really gorgeous scrummy breakfast in the morning. And it was very slow and easy and so joyful. And then I organised taking one of my best friends to a nearby-ish sauna that is in the middle of a wood. And we just had the best time ever. She drove me. She had made these little gorgeous thumbprint cookies that we ate in the car. It was freezing cold, like outside, and absolutely so warm in this gorgeous sauna. And it was just such a lovely, again, really joyful time was had. Okay, I did say that was the last, but I've actually got a final last thing to say. And that is hygge lighting is bringing me so much joy in my house at the minute. It has been dark and grey and horrible outside for months now here in England. It's just raining constantly, but it's not quite cold enough to feel like crisp, and nice. And it's just not nice. So one of the things bringing me great joy is when I come back in and I turn on all of my fancy hygge lighting. So for many years in this house, we just had like all the top lights, a couple of side lights, and a couple of bedside lights. But I wanted to be really much more intentional about how the lighting worked in the house. So I had different options and lots of like low light options and sparkly options. So up the stairs, I've got these kind of like battery operated kind of copper wire LED things that like I've wiggled around the stair banister. I love those. I change the batteries, I think, almost monthly. They come on a timer and they like go out. They come on at a certain time and then they go out. Like, I think they stay on for 6 hours and then they're off for 18 or something like that. It's like on a bit of a timer thing. Those bring me so much joy. I can't even say. I've had those for a couple of years and I put them on as soon as it starts to get dark in the evenings, and then they just sort of, when the batteries die out somewhere in the spring, I just wait until the autumn to turn them back on. And then lately I went to Ikea, which is admittedly not the most environmentally friendly place to buy a light, but it is the cheapest. And my husband and I don't really believe in secondhand electronics. So I went to Ikea and just had a look through. They've got a whole bunch of new lights in their range. And I found this gorgeous light that had like a braided cable, all metal, and then a beautiful glass top and a beautiful button press to push it on and off on the back. I'll make sure to link in the show notes what it's called. It looks kind of like one of those old library lamps. Anyway, we've placed it in the corner of the kitchen and next to where my husband makes me tea in the morning. And I come downstairs and there's my tea and the little light is on, and it's just very, very cozy, super hygge, just really lovely lighting. In all of the children's bedrooms now we have like standing floor lamps, and in my daughter's bedroom we've got this kind of very, very tiny spot lamp that you can move wherever you want it to point. Anyhow, I know that's like a fine detail, but I know as homemakers you will all appreciate the power of excellent lighting options, and also being able to have different options for lighting just feels really, really nice and relaxing and cozy. So that is my whole list of things that bring me joy, except it's not whole, is it? Because there are so many other things that bring me joy in the world. Crafts, creativity, art, my children. We could go on and on for a whole episode about how much joy my children bring me, especially when I'm being very intentional and present with them. We've actually stopped having screens Monday through Thursday. We only watch a family movie on a Friday night, and then they've kind of got like free reign of screens on Saturday and Sunday. But it's meant for so much more joy for everybody in the house, because screens don't really bring joy. They can bring joy as mentioned, but generally I feel like with the children it just brings drama and chaos. So for us, for now, Monday through Thursday screen free is working really, really well. And I am enjoying the kids so much more. I should probably say they weren't watching screens like every day, all of the time, like as soon as they got home to as soon as they went to bed. It was more like there wasn't really a parameter there. It wasn't like, oh, you come back, you watch half an hour of a show and then you create and do something, there was always this kind of like pull towards a screen for them, whether that was a computer or a television or watching something on my phone or playing a game on my phone. There was always a pull towards it, and actually a flat ban has worked out much better for everybody. I think they felt like maybe there was like they should be doing something, and actually me saying no, you're not going to, has meant they felt so much more free to really express themselves in other ways. And I think at the minute they're really passionate at building things out of Duplo upstairs in the top room, and they just are really enjoying that. They both really love reading, and we're super into audiobooks at the minute. That is something that's bringing everybody joy. We're currently on hygge. We've been doing Chronicles of Narnia, and a lot of it we're getting for free from Borrowbox, which is our kind of free library app. Lots of people, I think, probably don't know, because I didn't know, that you can borrow audiobooks from the library for free. So make sure you're checking out that resource. It's so much joy. Anyway, I could clearly keep on talking about things that bring me joy. Okay, so let's end with a few resources. If this is something you want to dig into more, and even if you don't, I'm going to recommend them to you. If you've not seen Hannah McNeely's video called Falling in Love with Motherhood on YouTube, it is absolutely stunning. I would really recommend that to anyone out there who is struggling in motherhood, as a way to remember how to love it, how to enjoy it. And I actually have like taken the transcript and printed it out and put it next to my bed so that I remember what I'm working towards every single day. And I think it's just such a helpful, well-written, beautiful video. So do go and check that out. Then I have 3 books that I'm going to recommend to you. One is The Happiness Project by Gretchen Rubin. It's an oldie but a goodie, fairly basic, but it's a lovely sort of coffee table but tiny book. Then I've got a lovely book called Slow Family Living by Bernadette Noll. It's 75 simple ways to slow down, connect, and create more joy. And it's quite a small-ish book. Each chapter's a couple of pages long. It's, I guess, intended for you as a parent to be able to pick it up, dip in and go, oh, actually, that's a great idea. Let's add that. So there was one I read the other day that was just like, if bedtime is a struggle, try turning it into your meditation time. So sometimes at bedtime, the kids just don't want to disconnect from you, but you can, if you do like a calming meditation, wind down, yoga practice, something like that with some nice calm music in their space, they're in their beds with their lights off, but their doors are open and they can watch you calming down. I was like, ooh, I love that idea. That's a fantastic idea. Sometimes you just need those little shifts. Something just needs to shift. And then things sort of start to feel a little bit better and brighter. So that's a really good resource for those sort of ideas. And then I loved Aggressively Happy by Joy Marie Clarkson, Sally Clarkson's daughter. It was such a lovely thing to read. I feel like I would have been titled as Aggressively Happy when I was growing up. And it was just such a fun read. So thank you so much for listening today, for checking back in, for downloading this episode. I would absolutely love, if you've enjoyed this episode, if you would leave a rating, review. I think you can leave comments on Spotify, share it with a friend, share it with people that you know. Obviously, you can like it on YouTube and leave a comment there. That's a nice, easy way of contacting me and letting me know that you enjoyed it. And I'd like to end with this quote. It's something I have screen grabbed from Instagram from almost a whole year ago from a nourished mother. And it's just beautiful. And I think it sums up everything I'd want to say today. The way to a richer life isn't more things. It's more gratitude. Deep gratitude unlocks the well to deep joy. And suddenly you see abundance in what was once scarcity. Every day I try to remind myself and say it out loud when I'm tempted to forget. Live with palms up and a heart wide open. Thank you so much for listening. Have a fantastic rest of your day. Bye.